And of course, a lot was happening this past weekend. We talked over Night of Champions this past week. We saw Cody Rhodes defeat Randy Orton to become the 2025 Men's King of the Ring. We saw Jade Cargill defeat Asuka to become the 2025 Women's King of the Ring. We also saw Rhea Ripley win a street fight over Raquel Rodriguez. Sami Zayn would pick up a win over Karrion Cross. Solo Sequoia, believe it or not, beat Jacob Fatu to become the new United States champion. And I have to admit, Jeff, Jacob Fatu, he's a favorite here on the program. I think you and I have both been fans of his for a long, long time. And I know certainly we've had a lot of really favorable comments about Jacob Fatu. We saw a who's who of the bloodline, though. We saw the former Jeff Cobb show up. I mean, there was even a new debut for the bloodline. This is, as Bruce might call it, a fresh coat of paint for the bloodline. What did you think about Solo picking up a win over Jacob for the U.S. title?
Well, he's a hell of a worker. The whole match, and I got to see bits and pieces. Obviously, everybody knows in America it was on daytime, so it was a bit the juggling act. But Conrad, I was moving my daughter Saturday, so her boyfriend loves him. AEW first, WWE second. And then go on. He loves to watch. So we were watching in between different deals. But it surprised him, which I was very curious to get his feedback, started asking him questions. And one thing that kind of jumped off the page that Conrad, I don't know if you or in your different conversations, but the bloodline, that's where I was going with it. That story and angle and the Sami Zayn integration and the Heyman and all of that story. Look, it has to have a natural progression, but remove Roman, remove both Usos, Heyman, Sami. Are we at a point where no matter how good the stories and the talent are, and they're all fantastic, it's just the bloodline story has run its course? Because they've debuted 3, it feels like, in the last couple of weeks, and we all know history, and I was a part of it. When you're debuting certain NWO members, it outside of the original, I'd say 4 to 5 to 6. Past that, it became watered down, and so I'm tickled to death that to see Jacob kind of standing out in all of that. But his last name's Fatu, so he is a part of the bloodline. I'm not real sure, Conrad. I'm a big fan of that title switch, but we'll see where it goes, because I think Jacob is a very, very super unique talent, and at this point, a baby face with momentum. We'll see where it goes from here.
I do want to ask you what you thought about John Cena and CM Punk. Of course, this was the main event this past weekend. It felt like, it felt like a WrestleMania John Cena match, because we got a variety of run-ins. There was, as Pat Patterson would say, God bless his soul, a lot of gaga. But still, we saw John Cena and CM Punk, perhaps for the very last time. One of the things that I want to ask you about is CM Punk's whole Saudi Arabia situation. We'll table that for now. As far as the actual match, did you have a chance to see John Cena and CM Punk? What did you think of what was presented as a main event in Saudi Arabia? I can't wait to pick your brain about this match.
Oh, well, come on with it, because as I watched it, and if anybody knows my history, and I'm not talking about just Memphis or TNA, but just overall, that you got to tell stories within the match, and you can tell. I think you can do overload and tell too many stories, but you can tell stories and subplots within a match, and it enhances everything. I know some folks from time to time will say too many run-ins. That was too confusing. You might as well throw the refs out there. What are they doing out there? All that kind of stuff. I hear you loud and clear. But for a and when they put the stats up and how few times they faced each other and gave it that kind of drama, and it really built into it, and then the yin and yang of the pipe bomb promos, I thought it was storytelling in a very, very super entertaining way. I hate to use this old adage, but if the match gets over, the reality is everybody will get over. And I think, a whole nother sidebar is Braun and the other guy put together. I'm not sure it's doing Braun any favors, but I'll just say collectively, I thought the Cena Punk match story was something that progressed everybody, and Cena stays on a roll, and he's a, goes without saying, you don't have to say, he's a super one of a kind talent, and he just continues to rock and roll through there, and the aura. And hey, man, Conrad, what'd you think about the crowd? My God, they were with it big time. And all the political news that came out, and the all the headlines, is this show going to happen? What's going to happen? And they're traveling and this and that. Boy, once the cameras rolled, the crowd was rocking and rolling, and you would have never, that was completely not even thought of.
We are live here and looking forward to your questions here at myworldpod.com. If you got a question for Jeff, we certainly want to hear it. Let's do a question here before we get started, before we talk about all the great questions we collected over on social media. The real question is, Jeff, that everybody has been talking about this last week. CM Punk in Saudi Arabia. Now, of course, this became a topic because, gosh, at this point, maybe 6 years ago, 5 years ago, it was years ago, we saw a pretty controversial tweet that CM Punk sent out about The Miz. And of course, it certainly referenced Saudi Arabia. But this past weekend, we saw at the press conference, well, there was a bit of a situation where it felt like Punk organically was asked about that tweet, and he made a statement. Now, Dave Meltzer has reported since, and I don't know that you've even seen this, Jeff, but Dave Meltzer has suggested that the fan in the crowd who was asking Punk about his tweet that was targeting Miz years ago, I think the fan's name was Mohammed. It's been revealed, per Dave Meltzer, that this was, in fact, at least in his opinion, staged. Now, that, of course, has fans fired up one way or the other. But, Jeff, I'll be honest, when I saw it happen live, I just thought to myself, clearly this is a plant. I mean, Saudi Arabia is booking WWE to change the way people feel about Saudi Arabia. I don't know. This to me didn't feel like a surprise, but I guess online this has become a talking point. What'd you think about the way CM Punk and the apology was framed or positioned, Jeff?
Let me clarify this. There is allegedly, or accusations, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but Meltzer is saying that WWE orchestrated an apology.
There is a suggestion.
Okay.
That is in exchange for in excess of $50 million that they were paid for this show, that one of their top stars, who was critical of this entire nation, may have actually shown up at a fan attended event, and a fan, wink, wink, was paid to take CM Punk to task. And perhaps the real life Phil Brooks was then encouraged to reach out to that fan and issue an apology to the fans of Saudi Arabia. Now, to be clear, no matter what your politics are, I don't think it's really debatable that most of us agree. Well, yeah, of course, the people of Saudi Arabia didn't do anything in bad behavior. Like, these are hardcore wrestling fans here to see a wrestling event. Why would you not appreciate them? So I get that. But it did feel a bit staged when I saw it. And of course, when Dave Meltzer suggested this, I think the internet has now gone wild with it. But that's kind of the whole intent of these shows, is it not? I mean, Jeff, realistically, and I don't mean for this to be ugly, and I know that this will be framed if it's quoted and chopped up and all that. The reality is, if you're paying someone $50 million for a show that respectfully will not gross anywhere near to that, you have to have different motivation, right?
I'll say this because of the world we live in, and you know this as well as I do. But when I was 19 and I got sat down by Christine Jarrett, and she gave me a stern tongue lashing, and she was preemptive in this, and this was in Cowan, Tennessee, which is right outside of, just straight down toward Chattanooga, but this side of Mount Eagle. And she said, I'm going to give you a little advice. I want you to listen to this. And she told me this over and over and over and over and over. 3 things you don't talk about in interviews: politics, religion, and wrestling. And what she meant by wrestling was whether it's fake or not. This is in 1986. Don't enter into any of those kind of conversations. There's no upside. So I think I'll leave it at that, because there is no upside. But the very fact that you are stating the actual financials of what the show dollar transaction is, it goes without saying, he who writes the checks writes the rules. The borrower is slave to the lender. We could go on and on and on. I think it's very simplistic. But if they double down and manufacture an apology, I don't see them. I don't see that making anything better. Matter of fact, it's going the other direction.
Don't we all love summer vacation, relaxing, laying out by the pool, barbecues, hitting the beach, doing, well, nothing? Well, how about a summer vacation from your house payments? With SaveWithConrad.com, you can do just that. Reduce your monthly payments by making the equity you built up in your home work for you. You can roll together those high interest rate credit cards into one lower monthly payment, and perhaps access some of that newfound equity to turn your house into your dream home with no money out of pocket. And how about this? You get to skip your next 2 house payments. That's right. You won't have to make your June or your July house payment. You're done until August 1st. Go right now to SaveWithConrad.com. Let my team run the numbers for you for free. There's no obligation, and if we can't help you save some cash, we won't waste your time. And did I mention we're offering a 3-year guarantee right now? That's right. That means if at any point interest rates improve over the next 3 years, you get a free refi. That's right. No new lender fees from us. So you get to save money now without wasting money later when the rates improve on a whole second set of closing costs. Why not go to SaveWithConrad.com and get a guarantee? Save money now and save money later with your friend in the mortgage business. That's me, Conrad Thompson at SaveWithConrad.com. Shoot me an email at Conrad@SaveWithConrad.com. Give us a call at 888-425-0105. Or get yourself a quick quote. Even talk to a live person right now at SaveWithConrad.com. NMLS number 2129, equal housing lender. Let's take a summer vacation from house payments at SaveWithConrad.com.